accountant too, or Indian Bank ka director. So my coverage for this economy issues will be for 10 minutes, and I hope the facts and details which I'm going to present will help all of us to understand that how we can improve economy, especially the employment generation, which is the agenda of Swadeshi Jagran Manch. Before I start, I would like to thank Swadeshi Jagran Manch to giving me this platform. Let's first start with a basic thing. There are a lot of fear in the mind of people, even educated, urban or rural, about this COVID-19 infected economy. Now, let's first understand what is the situation we are facing. This problem is not because the economy was doing bad, the economy was doing very well. You remember Jan Feb 2020, everything was going nice. Only because with the outbreak of this COVID-19, economy is halted, is halted deliberately, is blocked basically. Why? Because we do not want this disease to spread further. So therefore, I'm calling this as a economic quarantine. We cannot compare this economic situation with the economic situation of global financial crisis of 2008 or even a Great Depression of 1930s, because those were all demand shocks. This is a supply shock. This a little bit of understanding of this will help us to understand, and even you can counter the fear mongers who are trying to create a trouble and a psychological behavioral changes in the minds of the people that doom days are just before us. It's not a fact, because if we compare this supply shock which we are facing, means a road on a car, means a car on a road is stopped. Road is clear. The moment we start moving, the economy will go. But whether everything will be fine? No, there will be some problem. Some industry will do well, some industry will not do well. That is a fact. And therefore, our strategy for economic generation should be made on that front. So what I'll try to explain after this, just knowing this basic fact that this economy is in a supply shock, can lead to a demand shock, yes, and if it is not properly addressed on demand side, then it can go to a financial crisis. I'll give a chain. So we have to stop that. There cannot be a case where the banking system, which is a growth driver for this country, for this particular economy, should also get infected the way it happened in 2014. So we have to control that part of the day, that part of the segment, because everything has to do with the employment generation. Now, let's see how we can generate the employment and take fear out of the mind of people. The first important thing is that classify, point number one, classify workforce in two parts. First part is what we call is a those who can work from home. So WFH category. Work from home category is separate. Can't work from home category should be separate. CWH category. Now, these are the major vulnerable part of the society. Those who cannot work from home. Treat them like a poverty line. The way we help there. Can we move some people from can't work from home category to a home from work category? Because this, if it continues, if this continues, then there'll be a problem for those kind of a society. What is the way? What are the alternative? It could be even industry-wise, survey required to understand that if for X reason a particular industry is hit more, like say take tourism, I say people who are working in case of uh, hotel industry, those people, how many of them can be converted from can't work from home category to work from home category for some point of time, because they need some money in their hand and they are the working people. Just by giving money will not solve them. Young people need work. They can't sit at home. So when we think about our strategy for employment generation, we have to think about this particular part. And what is that? That we have to create an environment by making analysis. So this is my first suggestion, that if we can come together, set and identify those large workforce and try to convert them work from home category, I think this will help that one part. Because the next question will come, because there is a lot of talk in media about and then a lot of professionals also. I am not a doctor who would be in a position to give a prescription on that, but based on my analysis I can say all problem, as I said, is economic quarantine. So how do we get out of this depends upon various theories available in the market, and that theories is in the sense that whether the recovery will be a V-shaped recovery, or it will be a L-shaped recovery, or it will be a U-shaped recovery, or it will be a W-shaped recovery. Now, V-shaped recovery is a classical economic issue where you have a sudden downfall and then sudden recovery the moment that goes out. U-shape is a slightly lengthened recovery, maybe 18 months to 24 months, and some damages on a structural side. A W-shaped recovery is where you go down and come up and then go down and then again come up. That is a W-shape. L-shape is a one of the dangerous one, in a sense that you go down and there is no scope of recovery. That has to be out of even pessimistic view. So you forget about that. To counter the fear mongers strategy, I can tell you last out of 100 years, all flu type of thing, whether it was a 1918 flu, whether it was a SARS, whether it was H2N2 Asian flu, or a Spanish flu, which we talked in 1980, millions of people died there. Empirical, I repeat, empirical monopoly is of a V shape. So if it is a V shape, believe me, India is in the best pedestal. So create an environment. My second strategy is create an environment where the contentment and other part is there for the society to cover. Create an environment to bring global people, attract towards the India. And for that you require a skill. So I need to have a skill switching for a short-term purpose. How many people who are working in X industry can we convert? That's my second suggestion. First was to to segregate and see how many people can with the existing skill can work with the other one. But the other second strategy is the skill switching. With that minimum addition to that skill set, whether they can work in some other industry, which are the winners. So economic quarantine has created a situation of two categories, winner and losers. We'll have to take care of losers so that the employment is not destructed there, employment is stable there, and we'll have to find out a way where in the winners category more and more people can be attached, and for the time being they get engagement. So that is my second suggestion based on that understanding. Assuming if it goes in B, the worst case would be maybe say U shape. Yes, those people were thinking that coronavirus will resurface, they're thinking about W shape. Let them think. There's nothing wrong with that thinking. That also would be a possibility. But let's first focus on these two, that it could be V shape or it could be U shape, and then switching of a skill, adding on a skill. These are the some short-term strategy. We need to do that. But for that, we'll have to sit together, identify the issue, and find the solution. The third thing I'm trying to highlight is very important. Will there be an economic shock on this, the economic environment? Answer is yes. There is a shock because this started with a supply shock leading to demand. We'll have to stop a financial crisis shock. That means it cannot go to a situation of say 2008 when the financial markets gets infected. So what we have to do? Create a clear strategy that three people, probably three set of entities should take a absorb the losses. What are those I'm referring to? The first one is that the bank. But bank cannot absorb the entire problems of this society or of this economic quarantine situation. If we do so, then the next 2 years, the banking system will again go back to the 2014 situation. Don't blame then public sector bank and then start praising the private bank, because the private banks are not facing these problems. So which way it can do? Unprecedented situation require unprecedented solution. So some portion should be shared by regulator RBI, some portion should be shared by the bank, and major portion should be shared by the government of India. I would, in fact, further suggest the fourth should be the society. We should come together. I think we should create a group, identify the cluster, and see if there can be a group investment in a particular. If you identify that this is a winning sector, it has a business opportunity, there should be a group investment concept where a group can come together and make an investment. I think structural part, the legal part, the tax part can come, but this is unprecedented situation. We require some part should be absorbed by society with a one global idea of that is that jobs should be secured. Jobs should not be lost. Society has to come. We also have to absorb some losses, some part of that. We should not create a situation of panicking. Otherwise, the result would not be what we are looking for. Please appreciate this country has got huge potential. This I'm not talking just without fact. This is based on my feedback nationally and internationally for last 30 days, where I'm talking the opportunity available before us. But are we in a position to capitalize that? The most important thing would be the skill. The most important. So even today's environment, those who are skilled are also becoming unskilled. Please appreciate that fact. Those who were skilled before COVID-19 are becoming unskilled today. You'll have to identify and help and make them skilled. Whether the digital tool is the solution, I think for the time is very important. So can we design, that is my third. India has started with for last maybe 6 or 7 years, Make in India concept. Take my word, this is very important thing. Make in India concept, assembling in India concept, everything rolling, require a lot of capital investment. I'm now saying design in India, design in India. We have the skill set, we have a pool of young researcher. We can create that. We have a big reservoir of knowledge. Create a center, something close to NCR, some other places in the country where we should design for the world, because this requires a less amount of investment and then a sustainable, durable kind of a revenue generating capacity for the country. And there we can then employ people who right now have been thrown out of the employment because that particular sector is not doing well. So identifying the sector, sector by sector, there should be a sectoral, regional, and even district level strategies. We'll have to go to that way to tackle this problem and safeguard the employment. You cannot have, that is what my understanding, you cannot have a national program. Otherwise, there will be misuse in the time of crisis. Fifth point, very important, the time of crisis, allocation of resources is key. If our resources are not properly allocated, there will be misuse of the resources. Just by giving money is not a solution. So two things, we have to do it very carefully. We have to avoid a situation where there will be a structural problem to the economy. This is not a cyclical issue. I just said this recovery path, nobody knows. I'm only highlighting based on what has happened in the past. So we should, if I rely what has happened for 100 years, there is a more probability of that happening again. We can't believe that this is the first or this would be the last. Of course, this is not the first coronavirus. There are so many viruses came, and this cannot be the last. So we have to have those strategies ready. So fifth point is that how do we relax, sixth point in fact, how do we relax our Income Tax Act and a Companies Act to accommodate a situation where the society also start observing a cooperative structure, or a structure where a corporate comes in, and then a rural area where it is less impacted, we can go and do it. So this is in my summary, I would say these 4 or 5 points, if I can think, this will be would help us in generating not only fresh employment for this country but for the entire world. That's what I'm saying. Identify the problem in this country and outside country also, where we can do a digital solution. Therefore, you take our can't work from home category to work from home category. You can make an employment. Requires less investment, just on a strategy. Just on a strategy. Thank you very much.